All right, so we do make a bunch of funny videos, some rage bait and joke around, but in all honesty, we are very serious and take lots of pride in our work. We made a video about doing this bend cut with a miter saw, and it just doesn't work. And it was a joke. So here is how we actually do it. You can see I've got my jig and my 1-inch V-groove router bit, and you can see we slide it in the jig, use the router, and get the V-groove in. You can tell my jig was way too tight, so we had to beat them in and out, and I blamed Hudson for that, even though he didn't do it. So after you beat it out, then you take it over here, and then we can clean it up a little bit, take the burrs off of it, and get a pre-drill. Had to send Hudson to get the pre-drill for the third time. So over here is where the piece is going to go, right here on this outside corner. You can see we've got the steel frame, and we're going from post to post, cutting this bad boy square. And this is how we get this outside corner with a nice miter on it without it opening up with expansion and contraction. So after a couple precise measurements with my broken square, come back over to the chop saw stand, and we burn an inch and mark it to length. And then once we mark both sides to length, then it is to the chop saw, cut it to length. And we're cutting this from the back side, that way it doesn't tear up the face, that way the blade pulls up on the material instead of down. It just gives you a cleaner cut. So then after we clean this bad boy up, we take our pre-drill jig that I made for this project, kind of a 6-inch setback on one end and a 4-inch setback on the other. And we go ahead and pre-drill that bad boy. I was looking to make sure we weren't going to get into that void and miss our screw hole. So after we get this bad boy pre-drilled, then it's on to the fun part, which took us a little bit to figure out. We figured out that you didn't really want to heat the face of it. It kind of tore the last bit of veneer. And getting the router bit set to the appropriate depth, that took a minute. So, walk back and forth, look at it a couple times. And then we got to notch it for this I-beam. So see, it's sticking up a little too high. So we're going to mark it and notch it on the bottom so that it'll sit all the way down, nice and flush with the composite decking. So give it the old flip and spin and mark back to the chop saw. And we're going to do some little notching on the miter saw. Trim it because it was a little long, and then now we're going to rip the bottom here on the miter saw. And so just rip it to that 90, and then we get that cross cut in ever so slightly. So now we've got our piece notched. We can go ahead and get an extra pre-drill. So we pre-drill this because we're not using a traditional face screw for composite. We're using our T15 self-tapper that we're using for our hidden fasteners. And it's really the only way I've gotten to attach this fascia to our steel frame deck with a good purchase. So what we figured out is we would just heat it up from the back so we didn't melt the veneer on the front, because whenever we heated the front, it would kind of tear it apart, defeating the whole purpose. But if we get it extra hot on the back, it lays over, doesn't tear the veneer, and then we have one solid piece to make up these outside corners. And that way, if there's expansion and contraction, it happens where the composite hits the post and not on our outside corner. So there you can see we got it heated up, got it bent over. Little more heat. And a little more heat. Just about right. And perfection. Look at that. What a beauty. So now we got it all done up. Time to get the right bit. because Hudson still hasn't found it, but found it for Hudson so he can come back now. Here you go, Hudson. Here's the bit you're looking for, bud. And here's your drill. Do you want me to screw it for you too, bud? You don't need an extension, Hudson. Just put it in the end of the impact. Up for one last dry fit. Everything looks good. We got an expansion gap. It's nice and flush on the top. Looks good that side, this side. And now we're going to glue and screw. So if Hudson can get up here and screw this bad boy off, instead of letting the boss do all the work. And we have some welds in the way, so looking for a razor blade, can't find a razor blade, but we got the trusty old skinning knife in the bag. Maybe. There it is. All right, got the skinning knife. Now it's back to do a little bit of whittling. So trim a little off here, trim a little off there. Better if we got a razor blade, but couldn't find it, so buck knife it is. See what we got, see if she fits. Real close, a little bit. Take a little more off. And as you can see, Hudson's learning vigorously from the ground. All right, Hudson, it fits. You gonna put it in, bud? All right, now let him do something besides roll out tools. So we got a super strong construction adhesive. Once we position his ladder correctly, we can now get this bad boy screwed on. So lots of good pookie. We're gonna glue the tar out of this. That way it does not come down and we don't have a ton of fasteners in it. Up these beautiful stairs to this amazing deck. And I'm gonna hold this bad boy for Hudson so he can screw it on nice and flush and it doesn't pull it out of square. So one side, the other side, and that's it. We have our V-groove routered outside corner composite board that looks BEA beautiful.